The story of whatever you wish for.
Part 4. Rich people also dream.
Due to the good karma of making offerings to an enlightened being in her previous life, in her next life she was reborn as a very good farmer, living a full and prosperous life. That year, the whole province suffered from drought. But Farah has special talent and experience, so his land is still lush. The drought is so severe that even the rich have no food left, let alone the poor. People were starving to death, and the survivors left in droves to other provinces to find food. In the same province, there was a rich woman named Helen, famous for her wealth. Although the rich lady was rich, she had no food, so she had to leave her homeland. Her entire herd of livestock, including buffaloes, cows, horses, all starved to death and were cut up and eaten. Rich Lady Helen gathered all her precious assets into a sack full of gold and jewels, worth an entire citadel. The rich woman carried a sack of gold on her back and walked to another province to find food. As for farmer Farah, although he had good farming and no shortage of food, the whole area had left and there was no one around his neighbors. So he thought,
well, why stay here? It's a dead land. I have to go.
So Farah went to the harvest field, finished harvesting, then carried a sack of rice and joined the immigrant group. When everyone saw the scene of Farmer Farah carrying a bag of rice on the road, everyone deeply desired it, including famous and wealthy people like Rich Lady Helen. Everyone was so hungry, but didn't have enough strength to steal because they were so hungry. Everyone passing by asked Farah if she sold rice. They begged to buy a handful of rice used to have enough strength to travel. Many people are willing to trade all the assets they have with them. Some people have 5 taels of gold. Some people have 10 taels of silver. Some people have emptied their pockets and only have 2 coins. But now money is no longer important. They are willing to exchange everything for just a handful of rice. Greed arose again. Farah thought,
so many people want to buy it, but no one has rice to sell. Well, selling it to them like this is still too cheap.
Farah had plenty of food, so he was not hungry and was the healthiest among the migrants. He walked on and on, passing Rich Lady Helen. The rich lady was so hungry. She looked longingly at Farah's bag of rice.
Farah, please sell me a pound of rice. I need to overcome this hunger and have the strength to go to the next province.
Farah noticed the bag that Rich Lady Helen was carrying on her shoulder and asked,
what do you have to exchange?
The new lady put down the sack and opened it. Oh my God! Farah was dazzled by gold and jade, shining brightly. Farah calculated for a while and said,
well, if you exchange your entire bag of gold for my bag of rice, I will exchange it.
Farah thought,
this is such a bargain. That whole sack of gold and gems took a lifetime, even decades, to get. As for me, I can make thousands of bags of rice a year. If the rich lady agrees to change that, that would be great.
After listening, the rich lady was very confused and didn't know what to do. After thinking for a while, she agreed to change according to Farah's request. Farah shouted happily,
Oh my God! I'm the richest in the world! The richest in this country. I'm so happy!
Farah was so happy she couldn't help but laugh. She exchanged her bag of rice for Helen's bag of golden gems. She thought that if she carried this bag of gold and jade, walked a little further, and then she would go to another province, she would exchange the gold and live happily in that province. After exchanging a bag of rice from Farah, the rich lady stopped to take rice to cook, eat, rest, and gradually regain her health. Besides, because she was very smart, she also started selling the rice in the bag. She sold a few ounces of rice in exchange for gold. After traveling a few dozen kilometers, Farah began to see Helen passing ahead of him. At this time, Helen had half a bag of gold and half a bag of rice left. Farah has a whole bag of golden gems. The road was far, the weather was hot, and there was nothing to eat. Farah began to starve and no longer had the strength to carry the bag of gold. Farah tried her best to put the whole bag of gold on her back, dragging each step heavily until her legs buckled. She fell to the ground and began to become delirious. While delirious, preparing to breathe her last, Farah saw a vision in front of her, the monk from her previous life. She saw the very familiar master and, at that moment, remembered her past lives. The great master asked kindly,
Do you think I'm right? You are not suffering because of lack, but because you have enough, but I am still greedy. If you just exchange half a bag of rice for half a bag of gold for Helen, would you now have enough gold and rice? Now you're starving to death on a pile of gold. Greed can never be satisfied. If you want more, you will still suffer. All three of your lives cause suffering because of greed. All your problems come from greed, and this can only be solved if you practice properly.
Farah suddenly realized, woke up, and, with tears in her eyes, silently made a vow to the master.
I promise you from the next life onwards, I will follow you to practice until the day of complete enlightenment.
At that moment, Helen passed by and heard the entire conversation between the master and Farah. She suddenly thought,
Wow, that's all. It's so easy. I didn't expect that in life you can get whatever you wish for. So cool.
Right when the great master's vision was still there, Helen collapsed and prayed.
I would like to offer the great master all this gold. You can command me anything you want. If the great master wants to build a pagoda, I will build it. Build a bridge, I will build it. I only keep this bag of rice. As for all the gold, I would like to offer it.
The great master smiled.
Why don't you practice?
Helen replied,
No, I still want to enjoy a happy life like Farah. I get whatever I wish for. I love it so much when I hear it. From childhood to adulthood, I have never been able to achieve what I wish for.
The great master nodded.
Okay, now you take this money to build a temple and make offerings to the singer for me.
But remember to practice. Otherwise, no matter what you wish for, you will still suffer.
Helen was so happy when she heard what she wished for, that she could only remember the first half but forgot the part she had to practice. She thought,
Whatever you wish for. I lost a whole bag of treasure just to exchange for that one wish. It would be foolish not to use it now.
After the master disappeared, Helen went to the next province and began to fulfill her promise to the master. She went to build temples and make offerings to the three jewels. Time passed quickly, and she lived a peaceful life. One day Helen knew she was about to die. She remembered how Farah used to get whatever she wished for. As she was about to die, she thought to herself,
I wish in my next life I would live somewhere where, first of all, I would be surrounded by gold, silver, jewels, and gems. Second, I never lack food. I always have enough food to last my whole life. In this life, I only have one bag of rice, and I have already donated all my money.
She was engrossed in thinking about these things and had no wish for anything related to practice. After thinking about it, she stopped breathing.
After 3 lifetimes, Farah realized that her greed would cause suffering. Farah was completely enlightened in this life. And what will Helen be like in the next life? Watch the final episode of the story Whatever You Wish For. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the last episode.